It feels really nice to be able to walk around and stand up while making videos. I haven't done this before, so I'm really enjoying it. And I'm also just wearing this because I don't feel like wearing clothes. So that's great. Thankfully, mental illness is coming up more now than it has decades ago when people weren't really wanting to talk about mental illnesses and the subjects surrounding it because maybe they thought that if they avoided it, then it wouldn't be there. But thankfully, media and books have been putting a lot of their story centralizing around mental illnesses, and a lot of times that's a positive thing. But there's also times when it doesn't exactly go the right way and people are getting the wrong idea about it. But since you're clicking on this video, I'm guessing that you want to make your character have some type of mental illness, or you're just interested in the idea of it. Either way, this is a topic that I wanted to bring up today because I feel like it's extremely important since this is common. Mental illness is common. There's so many people that are suffering because of it, but it's also helped in some ways to go out into the media, like I've said, and to books, and it's become something that is more aware of today.
Go away, Tate!
You're all I want! You're all I
have! First of all, mental illness should not be romanticized. If your character or someone that you're reading about has a mental illness in the book or television show, doesn't matter what, they're trying to be better with it and whatever relationship they're in, then that's great. They're doing really great, and this is a positive path that they're taking. Your depressed character deserves all the love they deserve. I know this, I get this. But if you pull shit like this...
Yeah. Okay, I get it. It's the only way we can be together.
Like Romeo and Juliet. I know how to do it so that it won't hurt.
Can we do it in the bathtub?
Why?
Because it's warm and nice and I can light some candles.
No. No, 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 no. This is not okay. I don't want to see any 50 Shades on crack happening in a psych ward, okay? This is extremely unhealthy and the character development is atrocious. Not only that, but your character is going to become unlikable to many audiences unless that's something that they really appeal to. Bless me. If you don't want people to hate your character, don't make them very manipulative. Don't make them want to get people's pity because of their illness, and they're making that as an excuse, as many people say, oh, if you don't do this, then I'm gonna hurt myself, and because of that, either the guy or the girl in the relationship will be like, oh no, okay, I won't go out, I'll stay with you instead. No, you cannot do that. That is extremely unhealthy, and if you're trying to romanticize that in your book, I understand that mental illness does bring a lot of impact on one's life, and because of that, we can either bite the bullet in a way of trying to get stronger or taking it in a bad way. And I get that some people might act like this, but if they're not trying at all in the relationship to try and improve their mental health and they're not seeking any help, and they keep taking advantage of their significant other or their friends and family, this character is not going to be likable. If you want your character to be hated, then go ahead and do these steps because this is perfect. But if you want your character to be loved, and especially if this is the protagonist, then do not romanticize mental illnesses in this abusive way. Mental illness is very complex, and because of this, someone with depression or anxiety might not act the same as another person. It's good to do your research, which I'll get into. It's also alright to not make everything completely textbook. You can stray from that a little bit because everyone has different experiences, and because of all the different traumas and different paths that people are going through, no depression is going to be exactly the same. No anxiety is going to be exactly the same as another person. It's all unique in a terrible way. For example, my character Mallory is traumatized because of her past, so it is recommended that you include some part of the past into the book so readers are able to sympathize more and also understand what is going on with this character. If you do want your character to seem a little hateful or readers not like them at first, then this is something you want to do in order for them to sympathize with them. Continuing with wanting to research your mental illnesses, this is extremely recommended, especially if you're writing about something like this and if your reader possibly is suffering from this illness. A few examples that I have that I wrote here because I don't want to mess it up is Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is the DSM. It's the official guide to the mental illness disorders. This manual is always up to date, so you won't have to worry about getting something wrong if you're reading it from here because it has all the knowledge that you need to know about this illness. Another one that I wrote down here is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, also known as NAMI or NAMI. It's also an excellent resource that you can use to get into different mental illnesses as well. Now, you don't necessarily need to tell your audience about every single mental illness that your character is suffering from. You don't have to make this entire list and just compile it, because before you know it, you're going to feel a little more dissociated from the character and it's going to seem more very textbook-like. Instead, you want them to experience it through experiences and flashbacks, if you know how to do that properly, or just certain characters that might have contributed to the trauma with the character. You can include them in the book, and that will also give more insight than just stating what they have. You also want to balance external and internal symptoms of the illness, such as if you have anxiety, some people, they might get lightheaded, or if you have depression, you have this heaviness in your chest. You want to express both sides of it. For one, the outside part where you might be sweating, you might be fidgeting if you have anxiety, whereas the inside part, for example, my character Mallory has dissociative identity disorder, DID, and internally, she becomes very foggy in her mind. She can't see properly with her eyes. She feels herself dissociating, sometimes an out-of-body experience, feeling possession. These are all things you need to take into consideration and not just show the outside symptoms or the inside symptoms. You need to show both, because both are extremely important if you want your character to have more depth and seem more real. To get even more depth, if you want, for example, if you're trying to tackle something that is relatively, well, not new, but more complex, like dissociative identity disorder, there are many people with experiences that they have on YouTube. There's articles, there's also many books. I'm not sure if you've heard of Sybil, which I have right here. Although I don't agree with the practices that are happening in here, you can read certain books that really tackle the disorder properly, and that will help you as well with getting your knowledge about your book. Mental illness should not be glorified, okay? It should not be glorified. It should not be seen as some kind of superhuman ability. I've seen so many times, especially films, I'm not going to mention names, but there are certain ones from just a few years ago when they are treating certain mental illnesses as a superpower ability, and that is not the case at all. It is not a superpower ability. It is a way of coping in many cases, or just dealing with trauma, and that is clearly not the route they were taking. I see certain characters turning into almost beasts with unnatural abilities, maybe even changing in size, or just things that are unhumanly possible. And because of that, it is bringing such a terrible stigma to mental illness, especially making people with that illness seem almost feared by others. If people don't know about the illness well, they'll think, oh, well, this happened in the movie, so it might not be exact, but maybe they're a killer, or maybe they have this kind of thing in their head that's telling them what to do and I'm gonna get hurt. It is disrespectful and it is very harmful to the people that are actually suffering from this illness. I understand if you want to make your character seem a little evil or a little hated, maybe even strange because of the illness, but you cannot give them superhuman abilities, and you can't make them shapeshift, okay? They are not going to shapeshift. And I do understand that sometimes mental illnesses such as depression or anxiety, well, mostly depression that I know of, has been known to sometimes boost creativity, because if you don't want to go out, then if a person's indoors a lot, then all they will do is maybe draw, they become creative, they write, and this is fine. But if you're taking a mental illness and you're making it into something that is something that people want, that's when you know you're going too far. Anyways, I hope this video has been able to be insightful for you on mental illnesses, along with giving your characters those certain aspects. I really hope that you aren't going to take the wrong path with it, and I hope I'm not as well. I'm trying my best, but it's better to be aware of these things rather than going in with a blind eye and accidentally offending someone, even though that's something that's always going to happen, probably with writing. I hope this has been able to help with you planning out how your character should have these illnesses, about the trauma and their past, and just how it affects the people around them or how the people around them affected your character. I completely forgot to mention, but I actually finished the end of my book. I should be more hyped about it, but I still know that I have to revise a lot of it, and then I have to get some beta readers, but that's just a little thing that's happened to me, so that's great. Anyways, I have a lot of thinking to do, and I have to find my literary agent in a little bit, but it's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to this journey, and I'm just excited to be making a video today because I've been taking a break from my writing, as in I'm going to get back into it next week. I just really wanted to make this video because it is extremely important. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again soon. I found this picture in my garage, and I love it so much. Can I even hold it up? Look at this thing. Oh my god.